I mean, everyone has a different way of studying. I just knew that I was like, I can't write this all down. My hand's gonna hurt. And it's just gonna be a lot for me.
Let's welcome our next guest who just recently passed the CPA exam.
My name is Kwabena Sarpong, and I am a CPA, well, pending CPA. I've passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam. I got my Bachelor's of Science in Accounting at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And then for my Master's of Science in Accounting, I went to Indiana University at Bloomington. And a little bit about me, I just started working at PwC on October 1st of 2020. So
how did you study for the CPA exam in general?
Okay, so I'll take audit for example. So all the 4 parts of the CPA, they have these, I call them chapters. I think audit had 6 chapters in them, and within each chapter there's modules. So I'll take chapter 3 for an example of audit. So I would go through and I'd do each module. I'd watch the lecture, I do the multiple choice, and I do the sims. I do that for each module within each chapter. And then at the end of each chapter, I would go back and do a comprehensive review of chapter 1. I'll do 20 questions, comprehensive review of chapter 1. So that'll be 20 multiple choice, or maybe, and some sims. And I'll do that for chapter 2, and I'll do it for chapter 3. And then after that, I'll move on to chapter 4, and I'll repeat the whole process. So I'll do all the modules for chapter 4, and then I'll do the comprehensive review for 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 questions each. And that's how I did it. I work with PwC, and they provide us with Becker. So it was a really nice opportunity for me. I didn't have to pay anything really. I am a horrible test taker. Ever since I took my first EOC, SAT, I was just never really good at it. And I realized that I just never really put in the effort that I did for this exam. I never really studied. I didn't do anything. I just went in there, no prep at all, and I just took those standardized tests. But because in my mind, I thought that standardized tests, there's no really way to study for it. So you're just gonna do as well as what you know. But when I took the CPA, I realized, okay, there's a certain way you gotta think when you take these standardized tests. So that's what I learned when I took the CPA.
How do you study for multiple choice questions?
For every multiple choice, there's 4 option choices. There's gonna be one that is really correct, the best answer. There's gonna be one that is correct but not the best answer. The last 2 are gonna be one that's really, really incorrect. You can probably eliminate that one right away. And there's probably gonna be one that you're gonna think it's correct, but it's incorrect because you read the question incorrectly, if that makes sense. I know that was a lot. So for when I would do a multiple choice, I would say, okay, there's A, B, C, D. A is correct because of this. B is incorrect because of this. C is incorrect because of this. D is incorrect because of this. And I would also go back for B, C, and D. I would say B would be correct if the question was asking for this. C would be correct if the question was asking for this. And D would be correct if the question was asking for this. So I always try to know when it would be correct for like which situation. Because you never know on the exam what type of question you're going to get. So it's not enough just to know for this multiple choice, for this one multiple choice, this answer is correct. You got to know why it is correct and why these others aren't correct, and when these other answers would be correct and what scenarios. That's one thing I learned.
How do you study for simulation questions?
So when I was going through it, I was doing the simulations, I would always try to read the prompt maybe 2 or 3 times. And then I'll try to make sense of it. And I always try and go through it myself before looking at the answers. And I'll say, okay, I'll try my best. I'll try my very best before looking at anything else. And I'll just compare what I got right to what I got wrong. And if I was still confused, looking at the answers, Becker has this option where they have these like skill videos. So I would just watch the professional go through the video and say why you should have put this answer as this and this answer as that. And so I would always try my very best at the beginning, and then always watch those skill videos.
How did you take study notes?
For the 4 parts, I took notes on 3 of them. I didn't feel like I needed to take them for audit because I was going into the profession of audit, and I thought I had a very good background on auditing and attestation. So when I was going through the videos, everything was like making sense. So I was like, if it makes sense, I don't really need to write it down because it makes sense. But for the other 3 parts, I was like, I didn't learn this in school, so it didn't really necessarily click when I first heard it. So I had to write it down. I know people that I'm working with, they say they took like 100 pages of notes. I'm like, that's a lot. Like, you're rewriting the whole Becker book. So, and I'm like, if I know, for example, if I know cash is a debit, I don't need to write that down. Like that's something I know verbatim on like the back of my hand. So I would only write notes on things I did not know well, because I didn't think it was worth my time to keep rewriting notes that I already knew.